company, so I wore a lot of hats. I did a lot of fuel purchasing and reselling on the bulk level in over 40 different markets. I led our dispatch, I managed our dispatch team. I managed internal and external fleets, negotiated freight rates, all that kind of stuff. And then I actually went to Dominion Energy for a couple of years where I worked on their electrification team. That's when I got bit by the electric vehicle bug that I know we're all familiar with. Thank you. And really got started with those. I worked on a number of different projects for Dominion Energy. So I do also speak the utility language as well. So now at ABB, I've only been here a couple of months, so be very nice to me with your questions if you have any. But I am now working as a business development manager for the fleet segment of the business. So I am working with in tandem with our sales team to help them develop whether it's fleet leads or fleet solutions, because I do have a lot of fleet experience, especially in something like the fuel industry where delivery windows are absolute and you've got these massive trucks on the road and they're, crashing and it's a big deal, or they're breaking down in the middle of the night. So a lot of fleet experience I have is kind of aggressive, we'll say. So, we need to prepare for electric fleets, both as utilities, as charging companies. Everybody who touches a vehicle has to be prepared for these electric fleets. So I'm not going to stand here and tell you about our charging infrastructure because everybody can Google us and look at a spec sheet. But instead, I'm going to talk a little bit more about fleet solutions and fleet strategies as we move forward. So ABB, because ABB has been around for a very long time, and they've touched all different aspects. I'm sure that some of you are familiar with their transformers, their switch gears, their meters. Because ABB has touched so many different parts of both the electric industry and now into the electric vehicle industry, there are a lot of advantages to working with ABB. We've got fast chargers, we've got level 2 chargers, we've got a great service team. We're working on energy storage, different solutions, and a lot of residential side as well. So it's definitely a full understanding of what is needed from an electrification standpoint, and now we're starting to transition into fleets. So this little part of the slide isn't loading, but that's okay. Partnerships are going to be extremely important as we move forward with fleet electrification. And what does that have to do with charging infrastructure? A lot. Working with these different OEMs, we need to figure out what their vehicles look like, how long it takes to charge them, how big they are, what it's going to look like in a fleet space. That's going to determine a lot of how we set up this charging infrastructure, because it's not just about the charger, it's also where the charger is located, how many ports it has, how many vehicles it can charge at one time, can it do simultaneous charging or sequence charging. So, working with these OEMs, it also helps us figure out who the customers are. We all want to make money, of course. And when we figure out who these customers are that these OEMs are selling to, we can figure out where these fleets are, how many vehicles they're purchasing, and we can develop our strategy from there, either working directly with the customer or through the OEM partner. So I'm sorry that the middle of this slide didn't load. Oh, wait, there it goes. So, a lot of the bigger truck companies, transit buses, school buses, we're working with a lot of different folks just, help really understand this before we fully launch into, because especially with the school bus funding from the government, this is going to take off really quickly. We want to be prepared. So ABB has already put a lot of charging infrastructure into place that is solving a lot of fleet solutions, such as a pantograph charger. Does it have a little here that just drops right down? You can see that saves quite a bit of space, and it's pretty convenient. You just have to pull in, line up, and the charger comes down. It helps eliminate, if your driver forgets to plug in the charger, which I'm sure has happened and will happen many a time. And then also we've got just a number of different size solutions. So we've got, this small little DC wall box here that fits really well. And if your fleet has a smaller space, and they're not super flashy on the outside. You can see like this one's a little bit prettier. It's got the screen. These ones are cheaper to replace if somebody hits it. Something to consider because it happens. These gentlemen and women, they're fantastic drivers, but they still hit stuff. So there's just a lot of different solutions, and we're really looking at different configurations of how we can take a lot or a garage or wherever these vehicles are parked and make sure that we have the most efficient solution. So smart charging is also going to be really important. I kind of said before, sequential charging. You can have 150 kilowatt charger charging up to 3 buses, which is huge, versus a 450 kilowatt charger. Y'all in the energy business know that that's a lot more power than 150. So it's a lot easier to do. So overnight, you can charge 3 different buses. One bus will charge. Once it's charged, the next bus charges. Once that charged, the next bus charges. They can stay plugged in. That's totally fine. And it'll remotely wake up the bus to do the top charging for heating and air, and then move on. So that's, you know, a solution that's been super popular with a lot of our customers because you can see it also is a little bit less infrastructure. So this box right here can serve all three of these guys versus having every one plugged into its own. Just another slide on sequential charging and how it works. You know, but it's pretty straightforward. You're still getting that full power charge to each bus. It's just starting and stopping throughout the night, which is super convenient. Come in, your bus is ready to go. And then here's just another slide on the pantograph. I just think they're really cool. But see how, you know, these buses can get pretty close to each other because these chargers drop down from the ceiling. And from an infrastructure standpoint too, it's a little bit easier because you've got your boxes over here. It just goes down like that. And there's also, you know, no wires laying on the ground that you can trip over or drive over, or weird things happen in fleets. So there have been some existing successes from ABB thus far. So in St. Louis, we've put in our pantograph chargers here. They're 150 kilowatt DC fast overnight chargers, and then also some 450 kilowatt chargers for them as well. So they have a 400 vehicle bus fleet in St. Louis, and you know, this has just gone extremely well for them. So again, transit buses in where's that? Connecticut. Again, kind of the same situation. We're doing those pantograph chargers again. It's a customer favorite, especially for fleet buses. Yeah, fleet buses. Yeah.
The buses, I don't know if that's a Proterra bus or what the manufacturer is, but
That's a new flyer.
so do they come out of the factory with the charging ports on the roof, or is that a retrofit for the bus?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer. Does anybody know the answer to that? Because I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, they come out of the factory.
So they have like an option that you can go on the side and you can go through the
That's
roof.
my understanding.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you. And then finally, so the other, you know, we can start ourselves blue in the face about charging at the depot, but when we're looking at over the road trucking or, you know, just trucks that travel long distances or hauling heavy materials, they're going to need charging solutions on the road as well. So I'm sure many of you have heard of the electric island in Portland. So Daimler and Portland General Electric have partnered to create this electric island. It's a truck stop that is specifically for medium and heavy duty charging. Light duty vehicles can use it as well. But things like this are what's going to happen kind of across the country, really. And I know that Lang, and I lost you, but you know, that's with Circle K and Loves and all those folks. You know, this is going to be a pretty big solution to helping electrify larger vehicles. You know, they're going to need charging on the road. A little bit less on the logistical side, a little more on the just need power and need it now side. But it's been pretty successful in Portland. And there's a plan to electrify I-5 through California, Oregon, and Washington, the whole stretch of road. And this is the first step towards it. So it's really exciting. They do use ABB chargers there. And yeah, and that's really pretty much all I had. But if anybody has any questions, I would be happy to take them.